For me, economic development and economic participation was firmly established in the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. We have a right and a responsibility, I believe, to develop our economies, both culturally based on country, but then also have the opportunity to participate in mainstream Australian society economies. And possibly, like a lot of Indigenous peoples are starting to do around the country now, is participate in global economies by engaging and working with international global organisations to really lever back into their own communities or families the opportunities that come with having some money, moving beyond survival and being able to contribute to not only our communities but Australian society as a whole. There are very strong relationships between health and well-being and economic development. Participating in an economy, whether it's communitarian or whether it's the Australian economy, I think are very, very powerful ways of being able to move beyond just survival into a new phase where you can start to think about what your future is, what opportunities there are that present to you that you can take up, and for building capacity between this generation and the next. Economic participation on its own does not guarantee health and well-being. I have seen a lot of people, and myself experienced actually, working in some of our community organisations where we give so much of ourselves to our mob, and it's been harmful because we haven't been able to strike a good balance. That is why I'm more interested in thinking about what it means to participate in an economy that's in its broadest sense based in what our community principles and ideas of participation are. And I think that engaging more with entrepreneurial thinking, what does innovation mean? How can we work together as groups of people to have a forward push or a groundswell of activity in this field is what's really needed, so that we can not only have economic productivity or engagement happen for us, but we can also then marry that with a balanced lifestyle that means that we've got the opportunity to be mentally well and physically well and spiritually well, and relationship, that we've got good healthy relationships. I believe that we are also Australia's next wave of entrepreneurs. What we need to do is have the opportunity to think about what being entrepreneurial means, and that can have an economic impact. It will have a health and well-being impact, because when you're doing something that you feel passionate about, that you're really engaged with, that you can share with others, where you can operate in ways that are culturally appropriate, but extend your contribution and capacities, I believe is a really important link to make between economics, entrepreneurialism and health and well-being. The Victorian Aboriginal community is really, I believe, a leader in economic development. You have got a lot of incredible thinkers and actors in this space. You've got people who are part of a careers pathway process between TAFE and universities, and then from universities on through to employment. You've got people who are very well positioned in multinational companies to help facilitate traineeships and apprenticeships in organisations that will give people a very vast experience. You've got people who are stepping up even within their own workplaces, making sure that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people feel very comfortable and confident in what it is that they're able to do and are supported to go to the next level. I think those initiatives are really important. And I also see an emergence of entrepreneurial thinking, and hopefully that will move into more activity in the next little while. You've got business owners, you've got incredible links with IBA and ILC. Some of the dynamics in those larger organisations are changing through their governance practices. That'll have a really big impact on the Aboriginal business community. You've got organisations who've set enormous precedents here that are really now starting to see an intergenerational benefit. Now we're starting to see, I think, evolutions in the governance of organisations, and that for me is really exciting. People are starting to not only, for example, deliver health or deliver education or deliver justice. We're starting to work across all those areas and then think specifically about how economics and our participation in either joint grant making or employment opportunities or pathways or entrepreneurial thinking or building businesses or supporting people with innovative ideas to take that next step. A preparedness to work together to achieve those things is really starting to emerge, and I think is critical for the leadership on the way forward. Economic participation, I believe, is a phrase that's being captured by governments, and what we as community people need to do is really take that back. Participating economically was to participate socially, it was to participate culturally. In that, there were very strong and important transactional relationships that happened, a very humanitarian kind of approach to the way that economics in the broadest term was shared. I believe that if we had dialogue around those community economics, the relationships, the cultural structures, the transactional work, the reciprocity inherent in it, innovations that occurred within our community context and the country that we're living on, if we could reinvigorate those kinds of things and bring them into a contemporary sense, what would that look like? I think that's a very powerful way for us to harness collective thinking around this and move it forward together. Any indicators of success that are just tied to jobs or participation in education, I think, are not as meaningful as creating a broader range of indicators that are community driven and that communities can aspire to. I believe that if we had, for example, a peak body in Victoria that was looking at economic development that was built up from a groundswell of Aboriginal community groups or businesses, that would be a really fantastic way to progress and kind of look after our roles and responsibilities and our rights to economic development and participation on our terms.